going to join me again today for a day in the life here in wonderful geoje-do, South Korea. For those of you wondering about Gooey, if you saw my first video where we rescued her, you probably remember she fit in the palm of my hand. Well, now she's gotten quite a bit bigger. And I think it's been about 2 months. Maybe a little bit over 2 months. She's been getting really big and strong. She's also in the process of getting vaccinated as well. She's had her first round, but she's got to go for 2 more rounds, and tomorrow's her second round. And then we have to wait 3 more weeks for her third round of vaccinations. And then when she's a little bit older, I am going to get her spayed as well. She's been really good in the house because she doesn't chew on anything she's not supposed to. She doesn't go anywhere that she's not really supposed to. I can basically leave her completely unattended now, and I completely trust that she won't get into anything or do anything. To be fair, she can't even jump up to like half the places yet. She hasn't got that jumping ability yet. I will say one thing about her though is that she takes really big, stinky poops. Like, I don't know how she produces these gigantic, monster stinky poops, don't you? You're a poopy girl. They're like half the size of your body. How does she do it? Is that normal for kittens to poop so big? I don't have much planned today. I do need to go pick up some stuff from my parents' house and then come back. And then if anything else comes up later, we'll go do that as well. But today is mostly going to be a stay-at-home day. And we'll get lots of Gooey in today as well. Because Gooey is finally back home with me after I've been in Seoul for a few days. She was staying with my friend who has 2 cats as well. And she seemed to enjoy it there, but she also seems to be very playful when she's back here as well. Gooey. I need to head out right now, but I know you're gonna just sleep while I'm gone because you've been playing for like the past couple hours. She's like the perfect little kitty. Bye, Gooey. I figured today as well we could answer some questions because I just recently hit 600,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Put out a story on Instagram asking people for some of their questions for me, so let's just answer some throughout the day. Someone did ask whether I live alone here in Geoje or if I live with my parents. My parents do live here, but we live separately because I like to have my own space in order to get some work done and all that kind of stuff. But they are close enough that I can just shoot over whenever I need to, whenever they need me or whatever. So it's a pretty good deal. The next question, and one I do also get quite often, is what's the best part about living in the countryside? This island is only like 15-20 minutes away from 2 pretty big cities, although it does seem like I do live in the countryside. But I'll be honest, the best part about living out in the countryside is this, because if you just look at this, the air is really clean, the weather is like this most days of the year, but it's just a beautiful place to live. Mind you, I'm only about 5 minutes away from my parents' house as well. Quick little fun fact. I used to live in this village. Well, my parents used to live in this village, and one year we had a really bad typhoon come in, and this entire area, the street and everything, was completely flooded. Like, the waves were coming up and like flooded this whole area out. They told everyone to move their cars up to the higher ground up there near the mountain, but a couple people didn't move their cars. And those cars just got swept around like crazy. It's a nice little village though, very quiet. Some of you probably wondering as well, and this is a question I got, is if I'm in Korea full-time now, and the answer is yes, I am in Korea full-time now. I wasn't planning on moving here, but things just kind of changed. I was doing better here, I'm happier here. So I decided to just stay here for the foreseeable future. My plan is to stay in Korea for as long as possible, but maybe not on this island. I think eventually I might end up moving somewhere else in Korea, maybe close to the city, something like that. But we'll see. That might even be like another year or 2, even if before I do that. It all kind of depends on how all of this goes. So you gotta watch the videos and then I can do better. But I do appreciate everyone who watches the videos. Also at this time of year when it's cold and there's no bugs and there's plenty of breeze coming through is when they start drying all the fish. So here they've got a bunch of flounders drying out. Another fun fact, this house right here was where my parents lived for quite a few years. They've done a lot to it ever since, like added the gate and the fences and the little plastic rooftop there, the little cover there, but they've also given it a new lick of paint. But that's where we lived for quite a bit, 20-30 meters, and then it's ocean. So I used to go from there to here to go fishing in there, and I never really caught anything. So this is a wood store that my parents kind of inherited with this house that they live in, which is perfect because I originally was going to buy a bunch of wood, but it's already all here and it's ideal. So I need to take some wood back with me. Are there any types of cooking you're interested in exploring other than fermentation? If so, what? Well, I mean, the main reason I went to my parents' house just now is to pick up all this stuff that's in my boot right now. And it's basically like a rocket stove with an oven. Sorry, there's a truck going by trying to sell stuff. Just wait for this guy to pass by. Okay, he's gone. And I can use this as a smoker as well. So one of the things I want to get into is actually smoking meats and fish. Because here, like, the fish here is so fresh, it's so cheap, and it's so good. So I figure, why not start like smoking it? I think it'd be really, really good. But it's going to be fun content to make, and we're going to try something when we get back home. We're not going to be smoking meats or fish in it. I want to try making bread in this, because this oven can go up to like 300 degrees Celsius, which my oven can't. So I'm hoping to be able to get this up to 300 degrees Celsius or somewhere up high like that, and then bake a piece of bread in there. So that should be really fun. It's actually still warm enough here in December for me to have an iced Americano. I figure while we're here at this cafe, we'll shoot out a few more questions. This is a fairly big question. How do you feel about the fact that you popularized chungs via creators following your recipes? I never expected it to happen. I know for me, like, chung videos were doing really well, and I'd seen some other people also recreate them as well with some success too, but I was always getting the most success. But then it's kind of crazy, like, out of the blue, chung kind of like blew up, and like all these other creators were getting millions and millions and millions of views, like way more views than I was getting, which, you know, not mad about, because everyone eventually credited me. One guy who went viral, and he gave me full credit, he even talked to me beforehand. Just through his video, I gained like 40,000 followers on Instagram, so I'm not mad, because I didn't really do anything, have to do anything. But I think it's pretty cool. That's all I can really say though, because it's not my thing, to be honest. Like, chung is like a Korean thing, and it's also in other cultures too, so I can't really say like it's my thing. But I'm happy to have, you know, spread that a bit. What got you into fermentation? Well, fermentation kind of just came about because I was already doing this food content, Korean food. Big part of Korean food is fermentation. So I made a fermentation video and it just did really well. So I just started doing more and more, and they kept doing better and better. So I kind of worked myself into that niche. So I'm not mad. I enjoy fermentation. I think it's really fun. Come on, Gooey. Come here. I missed you. Do you miss me? What is that? Oh, careful. Come back here. You really don't like being held, do you? Just gonna spend a few minutes with Gooey before I carry on with my day. I think she deserves it. She's been home alone for like 2 hours. Alright, Gooey, and you're being so affectionate right now. Because when you're running around all zoomy like, you don't give me a chance to pet you, do you? You know you like this. Alright, we're gonna make a quick and easy, really simple bread. I wasn't really planning on making bread today, so usually I would actually do like a pre-ferment where the night before I would set some flour, water, and yeast just going overnight, but we're just gonna do a really quick one today. Do you want to be part of this as well? You want to go in the thing? You want to be a piece of bread? You want to be a piece of bread? You run around, explore. Wait, let's get Gooey up in here as well. I know you don't like being picked up. There you go. Don't jump onto the table though. 400 grams of flour will be our 100%. 70% hydration loaf. 400 times 0.7 equals 280 milliliters of water, or 280 grams of water. Don't drink this. This isn't for you. Always do 1% yeast. 1% of 400 is 4, so we'll do 4 grams of yeast just to get this activated. And we'll just leave this for a few minutes to start bubbling and activate. Quick last minute decision. I'm going to add butter to this as well. I'm going to add 5%. 5% of 400 is 20 grams. So I'm going to add 20 grams of butter. 34. Let's just do that because I can't bother to cut this anymore. 2% salt, so that's going to be 8 grams of salt. Melted butter. That's all our ingredients done already. Now we just need to mix all this up and then let it proof. I'm just going to let this rest for like 10-15 minutes just to let this flour hydrate, and you'll see the difference that this makes with just how sticky this is and how smooth this becomes. Let's go through and answer another question then. Will you start a chung business? The short answer to that is no. While I'm known for making chung, and it is my most popular thing, I have not much interest in pursuing chung as like a whole thing. I'm much more interested in making my videos instead of making like an actual product, especially a food product. Although in the future, maybe a product will be something that I want to do, although it wouldn't be a food product. I think I want to move into like making my own sort of fermenting equipment or like kitchen utensils or something to do with actually cooking and not food itself. Do you speak Korean fluently? So I'm pretty good at Korean. I'm not fluent by any means. I honestly think I should be fluent at Korean, but I'm really not, which is kind of, you know, I'm not proud of that. But I know enough to like survive properly and sort of live my life here. Who knows, maybe in the future we'll get a video in Korean, I don't know. So it's kind of been 10 minutes now, so I'll show you how different this is now. So wet hand, just so that things don't stick. And you're gonna see how smooth this becomes, and it doesn't stick at all to my hands. Bit of water on my hands. We're just gonna do a slap and fold. Smooth out that top. You can see how smooth that is. Bit of oil in the bowl. And we're gonna let this proof now for like an hour or until it doubles in size. But in the meantime, while this is proofing, let's get the fire side outside because it could take us up to an hour to get that thing hot enough. Gooey, you gonna try to get some sleep now? You've had your fun? Try to get some sleep because I'm gonna be outside for a little bit. The great thing about this thing is like you just get a little flame like that going and that's enough. It'll just start like pushing air through and then making that flame really strong. So I'm just going to leave this now and it should grow pretty quick, and we should get a hot fire going pretty quick. Another person asked, what is your inspiration to make this YouTube channel? I don't really have an inspiration. I don't really look up to any other content creators or any other food people. This is kind of just me doing what I want to do and what I find interesting. And fortunately, a lot of people find it interesting as well. And I've managed to make this work out for me, which I'm really, really thankful for. Before I forget, I'm actually going to put the pans in so that they can also start preheating as well. Because this temperature is climbing fast. This is already reading about 100 degrees Celsius now. We need to get up to about here. This thing is getting like crazy hot now. On here it's reading about just over 250. Judging by what my thermometer was giving me inside, that's going to be really hot inside. So we're kind of way ahead of schedule and the bread hasn't really proofed properly yet. Okay, this has been proofing for a while now. I've done a few stretch and folds as well. And I think that's looking decently double sized. So let's shape this and then give it its final proof. And then we can finally bake this thing. Throw some flour on here. I'm going to be quite generous with this flour so that it really doesn't stick. More on top. So I'm gonna do sort of like a roll basically, but I don't want to knock out too much of the air, but I do want a fairly consistent rise in the middle. I'm gonna roll this up and then pinch it down. It should help it spread out a bit as well. And I'm also going to try and pinch this down as well, because I don't want this to look like a butthole. I'm going to move this over here, seam side down. Just another little pinch. Really close up these ends. Pop any big bubbles because we don't really want those. We're gonna give this another maybe like 15-20 minutes, just covered like this. Give it its final rise. And in that time, I need to go outside and basically make sure the oven is back up to temperature again. I've got the bread out here. I've got my knife to cut the bread to make a little slice so they can expand. I've got ice cubes. We're gonna have to do this as quickly as possible so I don't lose too much temperature in there. See, that is so hot right now, so I'm really hoping this will turn out good. But I'm hoping this will be about maybe like 20 minutes to 30 minutes until this is done. But I'm just gonna sit out here and just keeping this fire going in the meantime. I reckon we take this opportunity while the bread is baking to answer a last few questions. Big one I get a lot is, do I have a girlfriend? The answer is no, I do not have a girlfriend. Simple as that. How's the greenhouse looking? I'm assuming you're talking about my parents' greenhouse on their farm, which I haven't really been to lately, but I know my dad is sort of like in the process of like replanting a lot of the stuff in there. So a lot of it's not really like grown in very well yet, but once that's going, we'll go back and we'll do a video about that too. Do you have any big plans for the near future? Well, yes, but also no. No, as in, I'm gonna try and kind of keep doing what I'm doing in terms of the subject of my content. But yes, also that I want to move to doing more long-form videos like this one. This is a lot more fun for me to make. I get to take my time in exploring things that actually interest me and like things I'm curious about. But also just because having to like pump out 3, 4, 5 videos a week is honestly, it's pretty exhausting when it comes to just coming up with ideas for that. So doing YouTube where it's like 1 video a week, maybe 2 if I'm feeling generous, it's way more manageable for me. So this is the kind of like the direction I want to start taking. But there will still be short videos as well, just not as many. And those short videos will still mostly be like food and Korea related, unless I do travel. But I want to start reserving some content for long videos, because I get in the habit of just doing everything for short videos that I don't record anything for these longer videos, and I want to start doing that more often. This is a pretty good question. How's your experience growing up multicultural? My kids are British Korean too. I grew up very comfortably mixed race because my parents honestly gave me a very good balance of Korea and England. My mom speaks to me in Korean, my dad speaks to me in English. We lived in England for a bit. I was born in London, lived there for a while, but also lived here for a while. But even when we were living in England, it was always coming back to Korea every summer for like holidays and stuff. And then even when I was living here in Korea, it was going back to England every year for winter holidays or summer holidays as well. And I speak the language too, so that's also another that's another big thing as well, which makes it way more comfortable for me to be here too. I think as long as you keep like a good balance of both cultures and like really exposed to both, I think you can turn out quite normal. I don't know, but I realize that is a very privileged position to be in, and I'm thankful for that as well, honestly, because I know a lot of people who really struggle with this kind of thing. Wow, that is rising nicely. Oh, steamy in there as well. I should probably close that back up, but this is going to be a good loaf of bread, although it might take a bit longer than I expected. But I'm going to try and get this temperature up higher so that will start browning up inside. So we managed to get this all the way up to, what is that, over 250 degrees Celsius inside. That is getting a bit hot, so I do want to open this and sort of just let out some heat, but let's check it out at the same time. That is looking very good, actually. That might be ready soon. I think that's ready to go, actually. Maybe I'll take this out now. It's sounding pretty hollow. You see the nice brown bottom there. It's not burnt, it's just crispy. Looks really good. Smells amazing. Quite buttery, but you know, I added a bit too much butter. Let's take this inside. Before we can even think about cutting into this though, we do need to let this cool down for a bit, just to let the inside sort of set, because it can be quite gummy if you just cut into it right now. But I'm really hoping this is properly cooked all the way through at this point. It's been long enough now, so we can cut into this piece of bread. I actually went and had dinner in the meantime, so this is perfectly cooled off now. Softened up quite a lot since baking. Ooh, I'm pretty happy with that sort of even spread in there. Let's cut another slice. That looks pretty good. What do I have that I can put on this? Because we used all that butter, it's kept it really soft inside as well. The inside is so evenly sort of crumbed, bubbly. It's not too dense in any one spot. Really good. I want to thank everyone for 600,000 subscribers. I know quite a few of you are here for gooey content, and I'm going to try and provide gooey content as much as I can. But at the same time, I still got to kind of stay true to my roots, which is food content as well. So from now on, I'm going to do my best to sort of give like a good mix of like gooey content, but on top of that, a lot of my food content as well. Say goodbye, Gooey. Goodbye. She didn't care she's eating.